You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, February 14th. 2019, Valentine's Day. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story of the day is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Thursday. First is Trump considers a 60-day extension for China tariff deadline. U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly considering a 60-day extension of a March 1st deadline when U.S. tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports are scheduled to increase to 25% from 10%. Ongoing trade talks between the U.S. and China continued in Beijing Thursday as a delegation led by U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer sat down with Chinese counterparts led by Vice Premier Liu He. The talks, scheduled to run through Friday, followed 3 days of deputy-level meetings to work out technical details, including a mechanism for enforcing any trade agreement. Second thing to know is U.S. futures pointed to a higher open at one point pre-open. U.S. futures pointed to a higher open pre-open as progress in the latest round of U.S.-China trade talks boosted sentiment, and that changed at some point. The third thing to know today is Coca-Cola, NVIDIA, and NVIDIA highlight another busy day of earnings. Coca-Cola and NVIDIA are among some of the last notable names slated to report quarterly results as the fourth quarter earnings season winds down. The beverage giant is expected to post earnings of 43 cents per share on revenue of $7.06 billion, according to analysts polled by Investing.com, when it reports before the opening bell. Meanwhile, NVIDIA, which releases its results after the close, is forecast to report earnings per share of 71 cents and revenue of $2.3 billion. Other notable companies reporting results today include Canada Goose, Canopy Growth, Applied Materials, CBS, Arista Networks, CyberArk, Six Flags, CME Group, Avon Products, Lumen Brands, Duke Energy, and Vulcan Materials. The fourth thing to know today is U.S. retail sales are on tap. On the data front, the Commerce Department will publish a report on retail sales for December at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. That's out already, which investors will be eyeing for further signs on the strength of the American consumer. The consensus forecast was that the report will show retail sales rose by 0.1%, excluding the automobile sector. Sales are expected to post a flat reading, and we'll look at those numbers and perhaps other numbers maybe later in this Options News Rundown. Today's calendar will also bring investors the January reports on producer prices. weekly jobless claims figures, as well as the latest update on business inventories. The U.S. dollar index was a shade higher at 97.04, its best level since December 17th. In the bond market, U.S. Treasury prices edged higher, pushing yields lower across the curve, with the benchmark 10-year falling to 2.69%. The fifth thing to note today is Brent oil hits a 2019 high. In commodities, crude oil prices rose to their highest levels of the year amid signs of rising demand from China. China's crude oil imports in January rose 4.8% from a year earlier to an average of 10.03 million barrels per day, the third straight month that imports have exceeded the 10 million barrels, the 10 million mark. International Brent crude futures were at $64.31 per barrel. That's up 71 cents or 1.1%. They rose earlier to their strongest level since November 20th at $64.81. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $54.28 a barrel. That's up 38 cents or 0.7% from their last settlement. Now, our second story of the day is from CNBC.com. It's kind of an interesting one. JP Morgan is rolling out the first U.S. bank-backed cryptocurrency to transform the payments business. The first cryptocurrency created by a major U.S. bank is here, and it's from JP Morgan Chase. The lender moves more than $6 trillion around the world every day for corporations in its massive wholesale payments business. In trials set to start in a few months, a tiny fraction of that will happen over something called JPM Coin, the digital token created by engineers at the New York-based bank to instantly settle payments between clients. JP Morgan is preparing for a future in which parts of the essential underpinning of global capitalism, from cross-border payments to corporate debt issuance, moves to the blockchain. That's the database technology made famous by its first application, Bitcoin. But in order for that future to happen, the bank needed a way to transfer money at the dizzying speed that those smart contracts closed, rather than relying on old technology like wire transfers. So anything that currently exists in the world, as that moves onto the blockchain, this would be the payment leg for that transaction, said Umar Farouk, head of JP Morgan's blockchain projects. The applications are frankly quite endless. Anything where you have a distributed ledger which involves corporations or institutions can use this. Our third story today is from investing.com. U.S. retail sales plunge amid shutdown dampened sentiment. U.S. retail sales fell for the first time in 10 months in December as American consumers worried over the government shutdown. The U.S. Commerce Department said that U.S. retail sales tumbled 1.2% compared to forecasts for a gain of 0.1%. Core retail sales, which exclude automobiles, gasoline, building materials, and food services, and more closely corresponds to the U.S. consumer spending component of gross domestic product, declined 1.8%. Economists had forecast core growth to post a flat reading. The Commerce Department released this data, accounting for about 70% of the American economy, later than normal due to the delay from the 5-week-long partial government shutdown. And our final story of the day is from investing.com as well. U.S. jobless claims rise. 4-week average is at a 1-year high. The number of Americans filing for applications for unemployment benefits unexpectedly rose last week, pushing the 4-week moving average of claims to its highest level in just over a year, suggesting some moderation in job growth. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits increased 4,000 to a seasonally adjusted 239,000 for the week ended February 9. The Labor Department said this on Thursday. Data for the prior week was revised up to show 1,000 more applications received than previously recorded. Claims surged to a near 1.5-year high of 253,000 in the week ended January 26th. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast claims falling to 225,000 in the latest week. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Thursday, February 14th, 2019. This has been your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart and have a nice Valentine's Day.
The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.